Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles. What does the latest police investigation reveal about a local hit-and-run case? And vandals deface Oxford Village property.
Stay tuned, learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. "19-year-old Noah William Johnson of Macomb Township will soon face charges of leaving the scene of an accident in the hit-and-run death of Jordan Puckett. Puckett was walking east on Drainer Road when she was struck by Johnson's pickup truck. The teen failed to return to the scene of the accident to see what damage was done to the front of his vehicle. The next day, after hearing about the death on the news, Johnson turned himself into the authorities. Investigators determined Johnson had not been drinking and had a clean driving record. Toxicology reports showed alcohol and marijuana were present in the victim's system. Police investigation also shows strong evidence the woman was walking on the road when hit. If convicted for leaving the scene of the deadly accident, Johnson could spend 5 years in prison.
Vandals are at it again in Oxford. This week, the desecrators spray-painted graffiti on Scripter Park Beach House, the Village Department of Public Works building, the vacant industrial building on Gillespie Street, the dugouts, and the toilets at Scripter Park Ball Diamond. All this mayhem took place at night on Monday the 9th. The Village of Oxford is offering $200 in a reward, leading to the arrest of the person or persons who committed this act of vandalism against the residents of Oxford. Enough is enough. These culprits must be coming home with paint or something on their clothing that might give evidence that they're up to no good wandering our streets. Please be vigilant and call the local police at 248-628-2581 or the Oxford Village office at 248-628-2543.
The Oxford Township Planning Commission approved the development of a 26-unit condominium site at the south side of East Drainer Road, west of Bar Road, and north of Indian Lake Road. The condos will be built on approximately 95 acres, with each lot varying in size from 2.5 acres to roughly around 11 acres. The new condos will range from 2,200 square feet to 5,000 square feet in size. The finished site plan will include a 1,500-foot-long paved cul-de-sac.
Plans are already being made for this year's Lone Ranger Festival, but the DDA involvement will be limited. Village President Sue Beausardet is cautious about spending too much time promoting downtown events to local businesses that may not be interested.
And Rod can attest to this. He's asked businesses before to participate, and historically the businesses downtown don't. It's very hard to get business people to do anything. And so I don't want to get in a position where if there's, say, 25 businesses downtown that we want to get to participate, and I'm just throwing out a number, I have no idea where I got it, but just say 25, and you go around and you can ask them once, you can ask them twice, you can give them a flyer, you can, how many times is expected to go back to them, and they can end up with maybe one doing something.
DDA member Bill Dunn has concerns of his own regarding financial limitations to support the event.
You guys have to remember that the community is scared, the DDA is scared, because at one time we were the event coordinator for the whole frickin' place. As a matter of fact, we budgeted $50,000 a year for events. Wow. Which pretty much bankrupt this damn place. So we're a little skeptical. I mean, we're getting back into it, but I don't want to get back into being the event coordinator for the community. If it can't be run by the different elements in the community, I don't want to have anything to do with it.
Board and Festival Committee member Gino Malia feels that the least the DDA should do casually is to promote all large community events through the word of mouth.
I'm out here and I have a business out on Main Street, and I know 3,000 to 5,000 people are going to walk down my sidewalk on a given Saturday. Not 300, 3,000. And this is my opportunity to promote my business. And that is probably what we should be doing here as a DDA board, is to help them promote their business as a whole. Everybody comes together on that day. Not beg them or ask Joe to go back 3 or 4 times to beg them to do something. Put the information in their hands and say, this is what's going to happen that day. This is great for your business. It's going to promote your business, and maybe there's something you want to do a little extra, a little bit more that we can help you promote and put into our flyer or put into our website or something like that that your business wants to do.
Mr. Malia also expressed that most business owners are enthusiastic to capitalize on the potential revenue such an event brings to the community.
I'm out here and I have a business out on Main Street, and I know 3,000 to 5,000 people are going to walk down my sidewalk on a given Saturday. Not 300, 3,000. And this is my opportunity to promote my business. And that is probably what we should be doing here as a DDA board, is to help them promote their business as a whole. Everybody comes together on that day. Not beg them or ask Joe to go back 3 or 4 times to beg them to do something. Put the information in their hands and say, this is what's going to happen that day. This is great for your business. It's going to promote your business, and maybe there's something you want to do a little extra, a little bit more that we can help you promote and put into our flyer or put into our website or something like that that your business wants to do.
Sullivan's Public House owner Jerry Kremens suggested the chamber should also promote all community events.
Again, as I said, I think it's foolish of any business not to want to run some sort of special or some sort of unique idea to capture people. So I think maybe a letter from the chamber, because again, I just want to get back to, we do pay a membership every year. Sending out a notice, right now at the start of June saying, FYI, come August 6th, Lone Ranger Festival, part of our history, going to be an amazing event. Just an FYI, as you may want to capture part of that market. So I think that would be a great idea. The reminding businesses is really nice.
The 5th Annual Lone Ranger Festival takes place on August 6th in downtown Oxford.
By a 7-0 vote, the Oxford Township Board approved resurfacing Pontiac Road from the Oxford Village limits to West Drainer. The nearly $200,000 price tag will be shared with the Township and Oakland County Road Commission. With more than 3,000 vehicles pounding Pontiac Street daily, officials say the wear and tear requires preventative measures to ensure good and safe traffic flow.
Security video at the Meijer store revealed a large amount of nail polish had been stolen by an Asian man who security guards recognized by name and previous theft incidents. Officers ran a background check on the man, which revealed he had been recently arrested by the Utica police, but he was released. The case remains open. Will they ever stop trying to steal from Meijer?
I know it. They obviously don't watch our newscast.
They don't get it.
I'm telling you, week after week we talk about people getting caught based on the video cam. And speaking of that, darn those vandals. It's really starting to get on my nerves. Anyhow, that's it for Oxford News this week. If you want to learn more about these stories and others, stop by your local store and pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper, or better yet, catch us right here. You know what I'm going to say, Charter Channel 191 and AT&T Channel 99.
And coming up next on Oxford News this week, Oxford Sports and Jamie Hughes. Catch Oxford School News with John Ochins. And don't miss Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kenny.
I'm Terry Stiles, and this is Oxford News This Week, where we bring your news closer to home.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, Antarctica was once covered by tropical forests. Now researchers have fully charted the slow transition from tropical paradise to icy wasteland thanks to a single marine sediment core. It shows for the first time that temperate forests were a key transitional stage before falling temperatures turned the continent into a white wasteland. The core was taken from the seafloor at Wilkes Land in East Antarctica as part of the Integrated Ocean Drilling Program. Pollen grains found inside show how vegetation on the continent changed between the early Eocene, about 54 million years ago, into the Miocene, 12 million years ago. The core from Wilkes Land was the first to give the entire story from the Eocene all the way through, says Ulrich Salzman of Northumbria University in Newcastle upon Tyne in the UK, who presented preliminary results at the European Geoscience Union meeting in Vienna last month. It seems that vegetation had disappeared completely by 12 million years ago. The core story starts in much warmer climes around 16 degrees Celsius in the early Eocene. Back then, the climate was subtropical, the verdant landscape dominated by palms and trees, such as the monkey puzzle. Lush green Antarctica finally gives way to ice some 12 million years ago as temperatures drop. By the early Oligocene, around 31 to 33 million years ago, the palms and monkey puzzles had completely disappeared. They gave way to more temperate species, including Wuan pine trees known as living fossils that still thrive in New Zealand and Tasmania. For trees, the transition from the Oligocene to the Miocene 23 million years back was the beginning of the end. Podocarpus trees and southern beeches remained, but their territory was increasingly invaded by mosses and other plants that are the hallmarks of tundra. The temperatures dropped to around 6 degrees Celsius by that period. Tundra starts to take over, says Salzman. The vegetation moves down to the lowlands and the tundra becomes dominant. The landscape became very similar to what is seen today in Tierra del Fuego in Patagonia. But the end for all greenery came around 12 million years ago when even the tundra disappeared. Then the glaciers took over and turned Antarctica into a white desert, says Salzman. Wilkes Land must have been the last refuge of woody vegetation. Quite a history. And in the insect world, or thereabouts, spider silk acts as both a liquid and a solid, a feat that could inspire a new type of robot. Arnaud Ankoviak of the Pierre and Marie Curie University in Paris, France, and his colleagues study the sticky capture silk that makes up the spiral of an orb weaver spider's web. When stretched, the silk extends like a spring, but when compressed, it remains taut rather than sagging in the middle as an ordinary thread might. Most materials that act like this are liquids, a soap film, for example. It seems to adapt to its length, says Antkowiak. The capture silk appears to be a liquid-solid hybrid that changes its size according to the space it needs to fill. It's just weird, he says. This dual nature stems from the silk being made of a filament wrapped in glue droplets. The team was able to mimic this behavior with a range of plastic filaments coated in silicone oil, ethanol, and other liquids, creating what they call a liquid wire. And Koviak says this behavior could make the materials useful in building soft robots. Well, on the weather front, April was the 7th month in a row to smash global temperature records, but a brief respite is on the cards with the present El Niño coming to an end. Since October, each month has exceeded the 1951 to 1980 global temperature average for that month by more than 1 degree Celsius. The heat wave is fueled by a double whammy of global warming and a strong El Niño cycle. The relative contributions of the two phenomena are hard to gauge, but clues can be found in previous El Niño cycles, says Blair Trevin of the Australian Bureau of Meteorology. If you compare the temperatures of the last 12 months with the same stages of the last strong El Niño event in 1997 and 1998, it's about 0.3 Celsius warmer this time around, says Trevin. This is consistent with an overall warming trend. However, the record run of high global temperatures may be interrupted towards the end of the year when La Niña kicks in. He says La Niña has the opposite effect of El Niño, the cyclical weather pattern that warms the central and eastern tropical Pacific Ocean. The present El Niño phase began in 2015. Last week, the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration reported that there is a 75% chance of it switching to La Niña as early as September. So watch out for that one. Well, that's it for Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television, and we'll be right back.
I'm John Ochins, and welcome to the Oxford Wildcat School Update. Winners, winners, and more winners as our spring competition season starts to wind down. Teacher Dan Balsley's Auto Tech crew headed for the Michigan Mites contest last weekend. That stands for Michigan Industrial and Technology Education Society. Sophomores Kyle Kalbfleisch and Austin Hunter were two of the winners there.
It's an individual competition, so we did it separately. But there were 6 separate competitions, or 6 separate sectors, and I took first in 2, then 5th in another one, and then I took 7th overall.
Senior Ricky Johnson also took first in one of the events. There were scholarships involved here too.
I actually got $8,000 from MIAT, which is an airplane instruction facility, and also $2,000 from Lincoln Tech.
I also got $8,000 from MIAT. I got $5,000 from Lincoln Tech, $2,000 from UNOH, and $10,000 from UTI.
Teacher Dan Balsley is very happy.
I'm really pleased with their results. I didn't know what to expect. I picked some high-scoring students in both the beginning category and the advanced category, and these guys really exceeded my expectations. They scored well in a lot of events. There was a couple of them, then they got first, second sweep. They finished 3 times in first place, and they ended up placing Oxford second in the state overall.
Our Teachers of the Year were honored at a recent Oakland County Awards program. They are Jim Sturba from the middle school, Sarah Harris, one of our elementary school teachers, and Joe Swoyer from the high school. Congrats to all. Before we know it, it will be June, and there's some fun stuff on the horizon, including the first Wildcat Hoopla. Danny Stablensky is one of the organizers.
All right, on June 4th from 7 until 9 o'clock at night, we are going to be having the Wildcat Hoopla at Oxford High School. It is going to be a celebrity basketball game. We have 2 coaches that are Oxford alumni that are sports celebrities of sorts. They're not basketball players. One is going to be Dave Rayner, who has been a kicker for the Lions as well as several other NFL teams. And the other is our very own Zach Line, who plays for the Minnesota Vikings. So they are actually going to be our coaches of our teams. Now each team is actually going to consist of several of our administrators, so the kids can watch their principals get out there and shoot some hoops. And then we are going to have some other very fun surprise community supporters that are going to be on the court as well, perhaps the Lone Ranger. Because the whole reason for doing this is not only to celebrate the end of a super awesome school year, but also to support our Lone Ranger Parade, which will be happening later this summer.
Local policemen and firemen will also be on the teams. They will also feature some minute-to-win-it events to help build up points.
Everything. Our students are going to be able to help their teams score. By doing this, they are going to do minute-to-win-it games in between our timeout, or during our timeouts in between play of the game, and students are going to be selected at each of the schools by their principals to support their school, and we're going to be having hula hoop centered minute to win it games, so it kind of carries in that whole hoopla excitement, and whichever team wins, then they get to apply points to the board. And even more exciting, we are going to have the Pistons on board. We will have the Pistons cheerleaders there to help us cheer everyone on. During our halftime show will be the Pistons Extreme Team, so you can watch some awesome alley-oops and dunks off of trampolines and all kinds of excitement. And Hooper, their mascot, will be there as well. Maybe he can teach our Wildcat some things, and we'll definitely have some time for pictures and autographs for the kids.
$8 advance tickets are available at the high school and online after May 23rd. They will be $10 at the door. Among other things, proceeds will help fund the Oxford Lone Ranger Parade. Teacher Natalie Frakes is head of our string orchestra department. We checked in with her on summertime plans.
There is a summer strings camp which is offered for 4th through 8th graders at Lakeville Elementary. It is tuition based, but it's June 20th through the 24th in the mornings from 9 o'clock to 12. And that is going to be with Susan Jewell, who is she's a cello teacher and piano teacher in the area, and she performs with Rochester Symphony. And she'll be an instructor there, as well as Mr. Bill Milichevich, who is the former orchestra director of Oxford.
There's more info on the orchestra website. Remember, you can purchase DVDs of your favorite Oxford school concert from Oxford TV. To order, just give us a call, 248-628-9658. That's the Oxford School Update for this week. This is Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.
Back with you in Oxford News this week. Time for Oxford sports and sports wielding down in the spring air. Errors and the lack of hitting proved to be too much for the Wildcats. They lost 7-2. Loss in the conference schedule put the team at 5-10 and in last place in the OAA Red. Ben Noose and Mario Scribner each had one hit. Noose drove in 2 runs. Jacob Watt battled, but the loss was too much. Again, they lose that one 7-2. Running around the league in other baseball scores, Birmingham Groves 4, Birmingham Seaholm 2, Bloomfield Hills 10-8, Pontiac Notre Dame Prep 3-6, Bloomfield Hills Cranbrook Kingswood 4, Auburn Hills Avondale 3, Brighton 4, Novi 3. Again, just running some scores around the league. Oxford needs to improve that baseball picture for next year. And like going to the dance and sitting on the wall, the game between Oxford and Avondale in ladies soccer was scoreless after the first half. During the second half, Oxford scored. Junior Mackenzie Eschbergers scored a goal and the corner kick from senior Kristen Medici. Avondale was able to tie a final again, 1-1 in that contest. Other scores around the league in soccer: Clawson 2, Waterford Mott 1, Waterford Mott 2. In the second game, they took on Walled Lake Northern and beat them there. However, they lost to Clawson. Jumping to the softball field, it was a doubleheader. Oxford beat Stony Creek 2-0. Caitlin Bean had 14 strikeouts, allowed 7 hits, 2. Chloe Allen went 1-3. Caitlin Bean 1-3. And 1 RBI. She had a triple. Hannah Vachon went 1-3 in the second contest with 1 RBI. Logan Douglas 1-2. Nicole Kessler 1-2. Again, Hannah Vachon had 11 strikeouts in that contest, and they took the doubleheader again, 4-0 against Stony Creek. Powerful contest there for Lady Wildcat softball. Check it out. That game will be here and on OCTV. As we move on to more sports in today's world, the golf world, the JV Gold's 10th match, a great victory for the kids. This team had worked very hard to get where they're at. The team now a record 6-4 with only 1 match to go, guaranteeing them a winning season. Conditions were absolutely perfect in their last contest. It was 60s. The match was played against the Cats of Clarkston. The Fountains Golf Club, a back 9 Oxford junior Ben LaRock, went low for the Wildcats, shooting a 44. Also with a score of 44 was freshman Colton Campbell. Ryan Hall and other competitors for Oxford was freshman Ryan Cobb, 52. Sophomore Ethan Lance had 62. And Lewis Kruppup, he chipped in with 50. The Wildcats will play its final match at the Oxford Hills Golf Club. It'll be Monday, May 23rd. Check it out. A rematch. Lake Orion, the Wildcats will attempt to close out the season with one great score. Oxford Boys West, Bloomfield 174 and Royal Oak 193 in that league. Again, we'll look forward to more golf and hopefully a win here at home. And now we can save a fin and win. I've been mentioning this over the last few broadcasts. You can save $5 by registering early on the Oxford website. $25 at the door as we get ready to get those physicals for any athletes participating in sports coming up in the fall between the 7th and 12th grade. Check it out. You can register early, pay $20, $25 at the door. It's still a reasonable price, even if you pay at the door. McLaren doctors will be there to do exams and take any types of questions. You got to have that physical, and you register right there on the Oxford website. Talking about the Oxford website, we urge you to tune into their website, the athletic website. Keep up with the schedules, local news, Oxford sports. They're always at your fingertips. You'll find out where your athlete's at and when they're going to play. And you can also get those early registration forms for the physicals. While you're on the web, check our website out. It's always there. It's OCCTV.org. Hit the programs tab, hit YouTube, wherever you choose to watch. You can watch everything there on your computer, iPad, phone, or conventionally, you can watch it on OCTV. We do urge you to stay tuned on Saturday and Sundays between 1 and 6 as we do broadcast most of our sports. Have a lot of concert action coming up, a lot of concerts we've been filming. Check that out on Thursday nights and Saturday nights. Again, if you missed any of the programming here, all you have to do is log on our website, OCCTV.org. I'm Jamie Hughes. It's been Oxford Sports. I am out of here, and there goes the script. See you next week, everybody.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, Uber is finally giving the world a peek at the latest car it's using to test self-driving technology. The ride-hailing pioneer posted a photo of a hybrid Ford Fusion outfitted with a variety of sensors and high-resolution cameras to gather mapping data while honing autonomous driving capabilities. The car can be found tooling around the byways of Pittsburgh, home to what Uber calls its Advanced Technology Center. San Francisco-based Uber is throwing its support behind technology that lets cars drive themselves, relying less on human drivers. Real-world testing is critical to our efforts to develop self-driving technology, Uber said in a web post. Self-driving cars have the potential to save millions of lives and improve quality of life for people around the world. Lest people fret, Uber points out in its blog that when the car is in self-driving mode, a trained driver will be in the driver's seat, keeping an eye on things. And at GM, the end of an era. Cadillac has ended production of the ELR plug-in hybrid, the striking coupe that never recovered from an initial $79,995 price tag that many consumers and dealers deemed exorbitant. Cadillac confirmed in a statement that production of the ELR at its Detroit Hamtramck plant in Michigan ended a few months ago, and that a very small quantity of ELR units remain available for dealers today. There's about 100 of them in dealer inventory as of May 1st, according to an estimate from the Automotive News Data Center. The beautifully designed electrified coupe marked an important step in Cadillac's ongoing expansion. Cadillac said in the statement, Cadillac remains committed to delivering new technology, including advanced propulsion. Cars.com Detroit bureau chief Aaron Bragman might have written the most fitting epitaph for the ELR in his initial review 2 years ago. Cadillac surprised the world with the coupe's knockout styling, he wrote. Then it surprised the world again by pricing it out of consideration for anyone who'd be likely to buy one. Too bad. And at GM is bringing the recall notice into the digital age. GM is launching a smartphone app this summer that will allow its vehicle owners to check whether their vehicles are subject to any open recalls. It's the latest move by automobile makers to redouble efforts to get owners to comply with vehicle callbacks, a task that has taken on greater importance amid the unfolding Takata airbag recall that now covers nearly 70 million vehicles. The app includes a simple Check for Recalls tab at the bottom of the vehicle status section. Clicking on it pulls up information on any open recalls affecting the vehicle, directing the users to preferred dealerships to inquire about repairs. GM demonstrated the app during a media drive 2 weeks ago for the redesigned 2017 Acadia midsize crossover. It's an easy way to make people aware of recalls and give them the information they need to take the next step, said Tim Babbitt, Senior Manager of Connected Applications at GM. The recall notification will be among a number of new features included in the smartphone app, which will be offered starting July 18th under each of GM's 4 brands as My GMC, My Chevrolet, My Buick, and My Cadillac. The branded offerings will replace OnStar's Remote Link app, which has attracted more than 3 million users since it was launched in 2011. It allows owners to remotely lock and start their cars, manage their vehicles' wireless data plans, and find local merchants, for example. Remote Link will remain in place as GM tries to transition customers to the branded apps. And over at Fiat Chrysler is recalling nearly 600,000 Jeep Wrangler SUVs and Fiat 500 subcompact cars worldwide in 2 actions. Over 506,000 Wranglers are being recalled to inspect the clock spring, a part of the steering wheel that aids in airbag deployment. FCA said in a statement that dust and dirt gathered from off-road driving can compromise the clock spring and eventually prevent driver-side airbag deployment in a crash. Compromised clock springs will activate the Wrangler's airbag warning lamp, in which case drivers should notify a dealership, FCA said. In the U.S., the recall includes over 392,000 Wranglers from the 2007 to 2010 model years and over 7,400 from the 2011 to 2016 model years with right-hand drive for special duty. FCA estimates 35,412 of the recalled Wranglers are in Canada, 8,529 are in Mexico, and 62,580 are elsewhere. FCA is also recalling over 80,000 Fiat 500s from the 2012 to 2016 model years with manual transmissions globally to fix a glitch with the clutch release system. FCA said an investigation found the clutch travel could exceed design parameters, which can cause that is to say, ultimately restrict gear shifts and propulsion. The recall does not affect cars with turbocharged engines, so you guys are lucky. Well, that's all for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highway. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television, and we'll be right back.